Next up, it's one of our favorites. I think it's Jack's favorite category every year.
I love it.
And it's one of the most, I think it's maybe the one we take the most pride in, weirdly.
Yeah.
Because
I think it's the one we have the biggest existential crisis about trying to decide.
It's also the category, I think, and this isn't trying to do too much back padding, but like it's always an interesting thing to argue that like not a lot of your Game of the Year podcasts are doing.
Yep.
Because there is such a beautiful art to this type of game.
Yep.
And also an art that is very dispassionate at the same time.
And I think like when you read out the previous winners, people will hear that some of the names and be like, oh, I have the recognition on that, but also some of them will be like, well, why this
What
one?
was that?
Yeah.
So this is the Peter Willington Memorial. It's like a ham sandwich or Keane award for okayest game. Your previous winners in the category: 2016 Gears of War 4, 2017 Middle Earth Shadow of War, doing the rare double of most disappointing and ham sandwich. That shall never be matched.
I still don't know how you managed to get that over.
Fuck me. 2018. Well, I was more passionate in disappointment than I was in ham sandwich, to be fair. In 2018, Far Cry 5.
No, that was passion from me.
In 2019, a tie, Gears of War 5 and Days Gone. That was that a Barry? Days Gone? That feels like a Barry.
I didn't want to leave Days Gone. Yeah. I had to get it on there.
Gears of War 6 is a fucking shoehorn for the next time that's on there.
2020, feeling like a Mark Robinson joint, I think. Coffee Talk. Is that a Mark Robinson?
I was big on Coffee Talk.
It was more major. I think
2021 Destruction All Stars. And 2022, Jack all over Powerwash Simulator.
The game that's designed to be a ham sandwich and sandwiched the fuck out of it.
A really interesting list this year.
Yep.
Okay, so for 2023, we have AEW Fight Forever, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Atomic Heart, Dave the Diver, Detective Pikachu Returns, Dordogne, Illusion Island, Jusant, The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, and Starfield.
I'd just like to put like a late submission into this. It's a game called Alan Wake 2. And
I would love for that to get another award.
Yeah, especially because Barry might get drawn first and cut it. So it'd make it really easy on him. So we've Jack and Barry could potentially be getting it. Tell us, wheel. Who will it be?
Wheel.
We got the exact same order as the last time.
I think it is.
Yeah, Barry. Yeah.
Hooray.
The wheel has it fucking out for you, Jack.
Yeah, listen.
Because I even inserted the names in a different order this time before I spun the wheel. But obviously I randomized myself the same way the wheel did, and we ended up the same way around.
Hey,
are we now on the darkest timeline? Is that how this works?
We might be. We were in the dark place.
The wheel can...
Remember the dark place?
Who's making out of Alison Brie?
Yeah. Who's writing me versus am I real?
Okay, Barry, have at it, sir.
I would say, because I feel like it didn't get through to the threshold of Starfield. I've already cut my promo on Starfield. I thought it was lame.
The thing is, lots of it was bland, but then the stuff that wasn't bland just sucked.
I would say it's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's just... I don't know.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. It somehow is.
Yeah.
I don't have the words, you know, how the fuck have Microsoft for another year running with their first party just not been able to figure this the fuck out? You know, and we made the joke yesterday about just buy a couple more studios.
And it's not just Microsoft. It's Microsoft and Bethesda.
Oh my God.
Like, who, again, we said it in most disappointing. Even when their games are on fire, they're compelling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they make a lot of people want to play through the jank. Whereas this, like, it runs buttery smooth.
Yeah.
But it's fucking shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's anyway.
Oh, I touched a glowing rock and now I get a spaceship.
Before we do that one again, anyway, I'll take the plate. And there's one game that can get right off here because it's in the no man's land between ham sandwich and game of the year, and that's Dave the Diver.
Oh, I was gonna cut that. Yeah.
Dave the Diver is so much fun.
The thing is, before you make the noise, Barry. Right.
I've made it.
Okay. There's so many different, fun, random mechanics that the DPD
you're right in terms of there's many of them and they're random, but I'd argue about them being fun.
Yes, including the core fishing and shooting. I would say
perhaps
is not.
No, the shooting fish is extremely fun.
So I have rarely seen such childish glee as Jack swimming after a giant shark with a shotgun.
Take that, son.
And when he found the samurai sword.
Oh my god.
That game has so many mechanics, and for the first 2 or 3 hours I was like, it's actually really funny how they keep unveiling a new thing. And then like 10 hours in I was like, Okay. Oh, there's a little casino here in Mermaid Land. Okay. You know what I really like? The restaurant bit, and it's 30 seconds every day, and then it's over, and then there's 10 million
Barry,
other things I don't really enjoy doing.
Just repeat back what you just said. Oh, there's a little casino in Mermaid Land.
Yeah, it's not. It's
Barry,
it's
the
a
fact that
cutesy
you-
little thing.
The fact that
but-
you can even say that sentence means that should not be in this category.
Here it is.
I'm not going to argue it's number one in Game of the Year, but it is above what
Might
we're
be number
looking
one
for.
in this game.
It's above what we're
To
looking
be honest,
for.
I think I can strike it off because I think I like it less than as an Okayest game.
Oh, wow.
I am out on an island with this game this year.
Yeah.
My thing isn't even the whole fucking like indie argument about it.
Oh, no,
I
who
just
cares about
generally
that?
just
Yeah,
did not
Is it-
enjoy
I'll tell you
this
who,
game.
Jeff Keighley, sir.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, yeah. Well, I think he wishes people didn't care.
Do you think, Mark, it's because people probably look at this game and think, oh, that looks like something Mark would enjoy?
No. There's so many kind of moving parts to it that I'm like, all right, I get what this thing is doing, but I have done this in another game where I enjoyed playing it.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
I just, no part of Dave the Diver and Enemy's moving parts. I get all of the aspects and the kind of like blend of like the sort of management sim, the collecting resources, using those resources to build up, like building your, not empire, but your shop and whatnot.
Yeah.
There's all that stuff in there that it's just like, I've done this in other games, and I just prefer doing it in other games.
Yeah.
I think the overall presentation of it, I've got no issues with. But I just, as an actual thing to play, I never got on board with it. So it can come off, but I'm on a different reason for it.
I had fun. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, and look, I never will have an issue with someone having fun with a game.
Yeah. It's too good for this category for me. Right, that was relatively easy.
I think for similar reasons for Dave the Diver, I think Atomic Heart is just aggressively bad. Like, I know people have been talking about it's an okay shooter. I just didn't even like it. I just did not like it. Did not enjoy my time with that at all. And it's one of the few things this year where you have like you listen to like different wrestling podcasts where they talk about like they're embarrassed if someone comes into the room and sees them watching a particular thing, like wrestling wise. I would have that if someone came into the room and heard the dialogue in this game, and be like, "Really? This is this you consider as like an art form?" I fucking hate this thing. This thing is hideous.
I think there's for me, in terms of something I try to think about with the Hambo Award, is the emotions I feel playing this game, and I nothing this game.
Oh, I had emotions.
You know what I mean? I just went like, I see what they're going for. It should be for me, and I play through it, and it is just like, why it's the Hambo. It's, we talk every year about the good Hambo, where it's like, yeah, that's a good one of those, and then the bad Hambo, which is like, you reached up here and you landed here, and that to me is Atomic Heart, where it's like, you knew the game you wanted to make, and you certainly, I guess you tried to make that game. And this is what came out. And I'm just like, it is the most going through the motions Hambo game I have played in years.
The dialogue in this game is like such a snapshot of everything that is wrong with like modern video game dialogue.
Here he is.
I know what you mean. It's just like, here's this main character, and he's this gruff male protagonist, and he's too cool for school, and he doesn't care about anything, and he swears because he's edgy. And I'm just like, fuck this fucking game. I think this thing is trash.
Part of me would like to fight for it and think that it should stay because it does encapsulate that kind of B game-ness. But when I actually think about it, I also tapped out after like 3 hours, so I can't.
Evil West last year encapsulated that B game sort of vibe.
This one does as well. Listen, I've played lot of those games. And
actually, the RoboCop game from this year captures that.
But I think this one does to a certain extent. But as I was just saying, I also bounced off it relatively quickly for a lot of the reasons you're describing.
This is the Hambo where a couple of bites and you're like, is the ham gone off?
Yeah. Yeah.
No. This is the ham sandwich just like swearing back at you, saying, "Oh, look at me, I'm an edgy sandwich."
No, to be fair, if a sandwich said to me, "Ooh, I'm an edgy sandwich," I would vote for it for Game of the Year.
Yeah. It's like the fish coming to life in The Simpsons, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right,
yeah, like, well, look,
if there's pushback...
No, it can go.
The category is such that pushback isn't really the right term, is it?
But
like,
if there's pushback...
The weight of morbid ambivalence is what I have for you.
I have another option. I have another option if you have enough pushback on this.
I think Atomic Heart can go.
Who
I
gives a
think
shit about Atomic Heart, man.
I think the
I'm
argument
just
that-
like I think it's the bad Hambo. I just can't. I just can't. Like, and that's why I think it's such a strong competitor, is because it's just fucking nothing. Like, it's just a shell of
I
it.
tell you what, them. I will instead go for the mode of Sonic the Hedgehog because
I think it's a little, like it's all one. The thing we keep using when we knock it off is it's a bit, not a game.
It has enough charm to it. That, and it doesn't outstay its welcome.
Yeah.
That I think it's perfect for what it is. And maybe you could make the argument that like it's a 7 out of 10. It starts at a 7 out of 10 and it's never going to go above that.
Yeah.
So maybe it's perfect for this. But I just think it's got enough charm to it. It's enough of like an April Fool's gag more than like, you know, a proper commercial release. And it was free as well. So I don't think this should be on here. I think I'd be happy with Sonic the Hedgehog to go.
That's what I was going to knock off next as well.
Yeah, get fucked.
Yeah.
Right. Jack?
Oh. So, mainly because of the visual style, I'd want to take Dordogne off next, because at least it did something I've never seen before.
It's really tough because like the more you play of that game, the more you're like, man, I wish that this art style was like tacked onto like
a better game.
You know?
Yeah. The Order 1886 argument,
Yeah. Because like I played this and I played another game called Venba at the same time, and Venba has a really nice art style to it as well. And it's a really short game. It's like 90 minutes long, and it's basically just like a kind of mini collection of mini games based around cooking.
Sure.
And while it wasn't much of a game, it was so short that it left a really good impression on me. Yep. Whereas the longer I got into Dordogne, even though every single frame of it is sumptuous to look at, you're just like, this story isn't compelling enough, and the actual kind of things that you're asking me to do are just not fucking like vibing with me here. And I didn't finish it because of that reason. And if you want to make the argument that it shouldn't be on here because like it's one of the best looking games of the year, it's a fair enough case, but it's such a, I guess that there's some kind of level of like, it's a disappointment because you kind of wish that like the way this thing looked had been tacked onto something that was way more enjoyable to play. So I guess it's so good looking that it can probably come off.
It's the originality of like, there was one thing about it that was uniquely great.
Yeah. And it is absolutely true.
And that, to me, pushes it over the edge, even if it was bland.
Okay. Barry?
Dang. I don't know anything about Illusion Island. What is that?
Illusion Island is probably a top 3 for this category. So Illusion Island is the Mickey Mouse Metroidvania that came out earlier this year.
Yeah, okay.
And I know Garrett would go to bat with me on this, and it's so interesting, and I mentioned this recently. The thing with Illusion Island is, so first of all, it's like baby's first Metroidvania.
Okay.
The level of challenge on this thing, if you're grading on like a scale of 0 or 1 to 10, it gets to about a 2, and it kind of stays there, and it never really goes past that. And one of the main like mechanics or kind of feelings of progression that you get with a Metroidvania is that you're going to find areas that are locked for whatever reason. You have to go find whatever MacGuffin or upgrade or ability that lets you progress through that. And this game has that. It has like a double jump and you can swim and all these kind of things. But it's the first Metroidvania I've ever played where 4 or 5 hours into it, even though I've picked up these abilities, I still feel like the flow of the game is the exact same as when I started it. Like when you play, you know, like a Metroid, 4 or 5 hours in, or a Hollow Knight, 4 or 5 hours in, you've got all these like different tangible abilities and upgrades, and the way that you kind of move around the environment, you're blasting through enemy. And I think one of the big things is because there's no combat in this game.
Yeah.
You know, one of the big things that you notice in the Metroidvania is when you've picked up a couple of abilities, the kind of lower level grunts in the first area that have been challenging when you start the game, a couple of hours you come back in and you're just blasting through them. They're like cannon fodder. Because Illusion Island doesn't have combat, you can't get that part of that power creep, that kind of like a feeling of like, I'm stronger now. And it was an interesting decision to do that. And I think, again, a lot of it comes down to baby's first Metroidvania. And because of that, there isn't that, you know, games are, you're meant to kind of go on this journey where it kind of goes up in terms of like the level of your abilities, your skill, the overall kind of scale of the game and whatnot. And Illusion Island doesn't ever do any of that. It picks this, and it starts off at a fairly decent point because, like, it looks really pretty. It has that kind of like Disney magic and charm to it. Donald Duck is getting pissed off every time he picks up a new ability, and it's like a plunger that he has to use to wall climb now. And he has that kind of like characterization. And it's got a lot of charm in that area. But it starts here, and it genuinely never goes that way, never goes that way. It just is a straight line for the whole thing. And I kind of think it's if it doesn't win, it's top 1 or 2.
Okay. Okay. If that stays, then what about Detective Pikachu?
I don't know anything about this game. That was going to be one of my next ones.
Detective Pikachu is I bought it and I started playing it, and I was
Ryan Reynolds in it?
No.
Okay.
Oh,
It's gone.
But I started playing it and I was doing some stuff, and then one day I just didn't play it again. And then
let me tell you about a game called Pokemon Snap. New Pokemon
Have you lost
Snap.
the cartridge yet, Jack?
and then it was the 2nd of December, and we were recording Game of the Year. So I mean, for me to be this dispassionate about a Pokemon thing, to me means like it's high up the list. It's probably not what I'm going to have in my head as my number one. There's a couple on here that I think.
it kind of sounds like you're like, this seems below. Okay,
I mean, Jack, what are you doing in it?
It seems like if this wasn't
it's an adventure game.
but it seems like, and I don't want to prescribe a motive onto you, but it feels like if this was the exact same game but it wasn't Pokemon, you'd be really ready to go, it's much worse than a ham sandwich. But the fact that you don't want to put the brogues into a Pokemon universe
But what is like
experience.
the actual detecting? Like, what is the gameplay?
Well, you go around and you try and find clues.
All right, but
There's
like,
a serial killer in Palatown.
but like, are you
It was maybe
tapping
an
on
hour or
things,
two. Yeah,
or-
you go and you pick and you have conversations with people and you're trying to solve a case.
Does he have Pikachu vision?
No, unfortunately, he does not have
Fuck
Pikachu.
it. Fuck it then.
Yeah, and I didn't get deep enough into the game to really unravel anything because it was just, you know, there was nothing grabbed me. And there were other games to play at that time. There were, because Spider-Man came out around then.
And this is like a 50 quid game, right?
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. I will, but look, maybe I'll go back and I'll finish it. But
This sounds more like a disappointment of the argument.
But it's the thing is, it's, you know how we talk about how there are games that are in between ham sandwich and Game
This
of
is
the
in
Year.
between ham sandwich and bad.
Exactly that, yeah. Like, this is ever, you know, we want to sort of like what a reviewer would call a 7 out of 10 to win this game. This is kind of a 6 out of 10.
Well, I think this is probably like one of those things like...
I couldn't call it disappointment either because was I that hyped for Detective Pikachu to come back?
This is the thing. I think it fits into that category of like, you play a game for about 10 minutes and go, why the fuck does this exist? Like, what master does this serve? Other than obviously, hey, we need to hit whatever quarter in terms of having a game come out. Because even like with Pokemon Snap, even though obviously, Dave, you have expressed your feelings about that game.
Yeah.
Did I tell you I found the cartridge?
You did, yeah.
You did.
But the simple fact is like, hey, here is like...
Sold that shit.
Here is like a new game of a game that came out 20 odd years ago.
And a beloved game.
But, you know, I love that original.
And I love
Snap.
the original one.
Yeah. And so it's like, you know, a lot of people, when that trailer came, I was like, fuck yeah, let's go for it. I don't think there's a particular reverence for that first Detective Pikachu game. I think most people that when they think of Detective Pikachu
like
and what they enjoy it, they're like, hey, the film's pretty good. I enjoy the film. I'd have a sequel to that, sure, whatever.
People liked it. I didn't play it when it came out. I played it on an emulator. I thought it was cute. It's fun, you know, but I don't know. It's like, is there a massive difference between it being like an Ace Attorney game? It's just with Pikachu.
I want
Probably
a fucking noir Detective Pikachu
I mean,
game.
that would be so much cooler, yes.
And I guess it's just really weird that like
draining a bottle of whiskey in his office.
I guess what's the biggest kind of thing that's weird about it is the fact that, you know, that film was very, very successful and they didn't decide to ride the wave of that and kind of like segue that back into
They decided to surf directly into the wave head first instead.
No, but
well, that's Ryan Reynolds would have been in it, but they wouldn't let him promote aviation gin in a kids' game, so he refused.
But it's just I don't even just get fucking like Bill Nye or something, or just do something that's like
Get
tied.
Bill Nye, like as if you just call.
He's Mewtwo in the film.
Oh.
I thought you said as
nowhere.
Pikachu. I was like, that's such a pull. I fucking love that.
No. He's Mewtwo in the film. So
yeah, like,
I need a fucking voice actor.
Yeah.
Fucking get Nai on.
But mate, Nai is how the fuck did they get him to do the movie in the first place?
There's a thing.
How the fuck did they get him to do the movie?
And they probably put like 7
Does
figures on
he
it.
know he was in it?
Yeah, I do wonder.
Do you just get like these are lines? What movie is it? Doesn't matter.
He can't say Mewtwo properly. He keeps saying Mewtwo as if it's like there's a space in between.
Well, I guess to a man that's 100 years old, when would you have ever seen those two words together?
Maybe he still thought he was doing like Davy Jones from the Pirates of the Caribbean.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just kind of like when your nan or something mispronounces something, and she's like, "Oh, are you enjoying the Mewtwo
Are we saying
game?"
Pikachu's gone?
I'm gonna cut Pikachu because, like, I was so disinterested in it that I just haven't gone back to it.
Okay.
Maybe that is a reason it could win hand sandwich, but I mean, like, I don't feel passionate enough for it to get the sandwich either.
Okay, I'm next.
Are you? Oh, that was Barry. Sorry,
that was me.
Yeah.
Lads, Fight Forever is just bad.
I was thinking that
I think it starts off at ham sandwich, and the more you play it, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
I think that's gone.
I think there's a very specific reason that it's most disappointing, and it's because it's not even like an average game. It's just like you play it for half an hour and go, oh, no.
There is like the core of the kernel of the nucleus of a good idea, but you have to like pick through so much shit. You have to be Andy Dufresne crawling through a river of shit to come out smelling the roses the other side.
I mean, we played fucking SmackDown 2 for about 15 minutes last night, and that alone was more fun than anything I had with Fight Forever. You know?
We laughed more at Mark running and falling on his face as Steve Blackman than anything
the lethal weapon just caged on his face.
The great main event in any arena of, I believe it was
Viscera versus Steve
the
Blackman
Rock
versus The Rock.
Yeah.
So are you saying that what Fight Forever needed is Steve Blackman, and then it would have been
Viscera.
Yeah, slipping on that beer.
Yeah, slipping on that beer there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that can come off for sure.
Okay, Mark.
I put it on. I think it can come off now. I think Jusant is a case of like a really great idea that isn't, for whatever reason, whether it be like resources, time, budget restrictions. I think that's the kind of thing where I'd love Don't Nod to have a second stab at it, because I think that in terms of the actual wall climbing, it's the most interesting version of that I've seen in the game. Really, I can think of ever.
By the way, it would break my heart for a Don't Nod game to win this category, because one thing that you can never say about what they do is that it is like samey. Like, they always try and do something interesting.
Did we think this was going to be the year where Life is Strange was never referred to on the game of the year? You fucking got it in there.
I'm getting all the high spots.
and I think that any game where you come away from it where you're like, maybe there's elements of it where I'm like, if you come away with it thinking, I'd really like them to have a second stab at it, I think that's kind of like all right, there's something that's pretty compelling here at least. And with a little bit more time, a little bit more focus on some of the level design outside of the actual wall climbing sections, I think there could be something really decent there. But it runs into the tropes of like a lot of those. I don't know, it's like a AA studio or like a AAA studio, but a lot of those spaces
fucking rocks. I know that.
A lot of those spaces where they're like, okay, here's like some ethereal, spiritual, cute critter that's with you that has like, it sparkles and does a little fucking gimmick or whatever. And there's a bunch of games that are doing that kind of thing. And like, hey, here's a bunch of like the story, all the story is done through notes, and it's like doing some sort of environmental impact, climate change sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, cool, that's great. We're all in agreement that the climate crisis is a real thing, but doing this through the medium of just a bunch of notes that I pick up between all these actually interesting wall climbing sections. It's just not vibing with me.
Yeah, and again, I'd be such a hypocrite to try and defend Donut on that after saying the same thing about Elden Ring last year. Like, I don't like it when you have to absorb most of the stuff from other things to get the full picture.
Yeah.
I want at least 80% of the picture to be told to me. Unless it's told to me.
Spoon feed me, Daddy.
But unless it's... I mean, I don't even know what that is. But maybe.
I'm not against it.
I could be persuaded.
I don't know where you pulled it from, but it sounds appealing.
Could be persuaded, okay. Yeah, but I want it... unless the only way to do it is if it is such a geniusly interesting, unique mechanic, but just leaving notes on a mountainside doesn't feel like that.
And the thing is as well, is that I apply this less to Don't Nod because one of their strong things is their storytelling and their characters and their worlds that they build.
Yeah. Now let me tell you about Life is Strange.
But I think the thing with a lot of these studios, and Viewfinder this year is the perfect fucking snapshot for this, is like, here is a really fucking cool idea, a really cool gameplay idea, but we can't just have it as like this abstract puzzle game sort of thing. We have to make it like, it has to have a backstory to it. It has to have like a narrative that ties it together, which actually detracts from like the thing that you're enjoying doing in the game, because it has to bolt in this like narrative that just the game doesn't need. Sometimes you can do like a puzzle idea or a gameplay element and just have that be the thing. If you'd have given me just 4 hours of like, hey, you gotta like Journey, all right?
I was thinking Journey when you were just speaking now. Yeah,
you're right. You have like the bits where you see the walls and there's a little bit, I guess, of storytelling through like but it's so fucking abstract in its approach.
Yeah. Well, your headpiece keeps growing.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I feel like there are certain lessons that people have learned or tried to take on from Journey, but then there are certain things that they've not learned from Journey, and it's that thing then. And Viewfinder would have been a perfect mention for this category, and maybe I did vote for it because I think the actual like.
Don't they sponsor Man United?
Oh, that's TeamViewer. But like that, I'm not going to get to a rant about that, but Jusant can come off.
And it's also the funnest game of the year to say Jusant.
Absolutely.
More games should be French.
Jusant. Yes, they should.
Okay, who's next?
Oh, I guess it's me.
Final cut.
So I would want to cut, based on the 2 promos that have been cut so far, I think I want to cut Atomic Heart more than I would cut Illusion Island, just because Mark's description of Illusion Island and the fact that we talked about Atomic Heart and the disappointing, and that some of you sound madder at it than you do disappointed, or than you do average out by it, I would say.
I think the only thing that's okay about Atomic Heart, I would be in favor of cutting it. I think the idea of what it could be is a very nice, good.
Yeah, we said it earlier on.
It's not that.
If you just write, like, if you pass me a note that just says Soviet Bioshock, I'm like, motherfucker, I'm in.
Yeah.
You know?
But it just didn't.
Oh, sorry. Soviet Bioshock with robots.
Yeah.
Like, fuck yeah.
It just didn't hit that. I think that, I mean, I didn't play Assassin's Creed Mirage, but I feel like all the conversation I've heard about it seems like it's a dead ringer for this.
If you want, I got the promo on that Assassin's Creed Mirage.
Well, I haven't played anything that's left, but if everybody's saying Atomic Heart, then
I think Atomic Heart can go.
Then fine. Yeah. So then we come down to...
I mean, I think it's just Jack does the promo.
Yeah, Jack wants to do Mirage, and we'll see where we're at.
So, you know, in The Simpsons, right, where...
Good start.
Where I thought we were going.
That crazy Vaclavs.
It's really important
Play to your audience, huh?
for Homer to get a great barbecue going, and Lisa decides to shove his pig, and Homer's having the conversation with himself of like, oh, it's still good, and then, oh no, it's going down the street, it's moving a little fast, it's still good. And then it gets eventually shot like a cannon out of the Springfield Dam. And Homer says, it's just a little airborne. It's still good. And Bart says, Dad, it's gone. And he says, I know. So me getting to the end of this Assassin's Creed, all the way through, I was trying to convince myself, no, it's good. I'm having a good time.
I feel like you go through these cycles with like Assassin's Creed and Far Cry where you're constantly having debates with yourself about, am I telling myself it's good or is it good?
I kind of liked the last couple of Assassin's Creeds where they changed it up.
Look, I liked Odyssey.
Yeah.
I thought that was really good.
And look, I really liked Valhalla. I thought it was, you know, in a year where everyone was playing Elden Ring, I wanted to play a big open world adventure game with loads of cool shit in it, but I wasn't anywhere near good enough to play the game that was like the adults game. So I played the sort of like
the baby game,
the YA game, the young adult version. Okay, and I understand that makes me a coward, and I don't care. But so Assassin's Creed Mirage, it's, you know, the last 2 of them have been these bigger open world things, and they've clearly gone and gone, like, you know what was great is when you were just an assassin and you were crawling up and down walls and running around and things in the town. Yeah, let's go back to our roots. And they still left a little bit of the open world stuff in there, and by trying to serve 2 masters, they have absolutely failed people that like the original games and people that like the new open world. I love
games that do that. There's like, let's try and please everybody and annoy everybody in the process.
But the thing is, you're not annoyed by it because it's, you know, the free running around and the stealth gameplay and stuff is kind of good, And like the combat is all right, I guess. And the story is story's there. There's like one.
There is. I can confirm there is a story.
There's one character called Roshan who's kind of cool, and I nominated her for Character of the Year. But with some of the other people in Character of the Year, she wasn't going to get in the top 10, maybe the top 20 at a push. If I'd like shown you some of the stuff of her, she was cool, and I was just. After the initial, I'm playing an Assassin's Creed game again. I'm enjoying an Assassin's Creed game. Like, that sort of initial thing just went down, and then it just settled. And I was like, I'm still playing this game. I'm still playing it. Why am I still playing it? Oh no, I'm still playing. And just nothing. It wasn't piquing me. It wasn't making me feel happy or sad. I was, it was in a time where like work was really tough, and I was just playing it like dopamine after I finished work. And it was just like everything that was decompressing in my system from that day was more in my brain than what I was doing in Assassin's Creed. And even that absent-mindedly, I was playing it. And it still wasn't doing anything that actually stopped me and snapped me out of me thinking about like what I need to do at work the next day. Because I'm taking down a base, and then I'm like, moving around. I'm moving to the next thing, and then I've got to follow a person through the street, and then I got to do this. And I'm like, I've done this mission. I've done this bit. This has happened. Oh no, I'm doing it again. Okay, yeah, all right. Oh, okay. Go to the other area and do all that stuff as well. Yeah, and I know that Ubi games are a lot like that, but some of them have personality, man. Like Far Cry 6 was mental. There was some crazy characters in there, like really memorable characters who were doing all sorts of weird shit all the way through the game, and none of that fun was in here.
Are we saying we need to set the next Assassin's Creed in a fictional Central American? State,
Yeah, and everyone's favorite Giancarlo Esposito, Giovanni Ribisi character, to be the main bad guy would be in there. But I think after 5, they just went, okay, yeah, we really fumbled the bag because we could have done something interesting with the sort of right-wing Christian militia type things, and then everyone pushed back on us. So they were like, right, the next game we're going to set it in a generic South American country. No one will care, but
people should still be talking what an act of cowardice that climb down was in that game. Holy shit!
I think what happened between 5 and 6 is like the director or someone played Just Cause 3 and went, here's an idea.
It was batshit, and it was batshit in a great way. Nothing about this, and the thing is, Bashim is like in Assassin's Creed Valhalla is like he is an antagonist, and he's really interesting because he's like from this mysterious time, in the Middle East and all of this, and then you find out he's actually like the reincarnation of Loki or something, and yeah, exactly.
So can I just say at this point of the promo, I will vote for Assassin's Creed to win because I feel so sad for you. And one thing, if you can say that you're full of this feeling, I do not care one bit for that game.
Yeah, and just it played out. The game happened. The game happened around me rather than me happening to the game.
But the one thing I ask is because a lot of that sounds more like disappointment than...
No, but I was still playing it because there's...
you can still play something and still be disappointed by it.
But I think
that does cross into okay territory where he's not compelled by it, but he's not putting it down.
Because it's one of those, there's nothing explicitly... And like again, we did have that one time where something can win disappointing and okay. It's a very... It's a rare sight in nature, but it happens.
Here's the thing, Mark. Like, I can't knock how it looks. I can't massively knock the combat. I can't really knock the story. But most of the things that happen in it, like... are serviceable, like these are the generic things that make a video game tick to keep it going and keep you moving. And I wish it was worse or better, because if it was worse, I would have stopped playing it and maybe I'd have made some time to play Alan Wake 2 and I wouldn't be absolutely overwhelmed. And maybe if it was better, I'd be sat here going, you know what, it's not in this category and I can give it to another thing. But I kept playing it because I was kind of expecting it to do something, and it just, poking it with a stick and saying do something because it never did. It was just, it's a shame. One Assassin's Creed games, I thought they'd done something different and they'd gone in a different direction or whatever.
Well, from what I understand, the key thing between this and Valhalla is it was a kind of case of like, all right, you've gone as far in terms of scale as you can do with this thing. and we're going to take some time off, and we're going to come back, and we're kind of going to strip it down to kind of like the core essentials, and kind of come with a not so much a kind of a refreshed image of this thing, but just a slightly more focused, tight-knit kind of version of what Assassin's Creed is.
Yeah, when they make things more focused and tight, sometimes they take out all of the fucking random things that make you like a thing.
I guess.
And know what? Like Basim, I was trying to finish the point about him. Like all that interesting stuff that develops of his character, which is wacky as fuck, happens in Valhalla. This is before Valhalla, so he's just like generic. I'm a guy from the streets who's kind of an okay thief, and I'm gonna get him with the hidden ones. And then at the end of every chapter, you're like, there's like a weird beast stalking him. Like everything that these two have said about how cool all the dark shit that happens in Alan Wake is, and he's in the dark world or the dark zone, dark place, you know, got like with him and fucking Garth Marenghi high-fiving and writing shit on typewriters, and then Basim's just got like a sort of like dark wolf Ginny thing chasing after him, and I'm like, wonder what's gonna happen with this. Don't care. All the interesting Basim stuff already happened in a previous game. I don't need a prequel of Basim just running around the streets. Fuck's sake. This game is just bleh. You know? That's my final noise on it.
Okay. All right. Go to vote.
Yeah.
So who started this category?
Barry.
I did. I'll go Assassin's Creed.
I will go with Assassin's Creed.
I will stick with Illusion Island.
Yeah, I mean, I'm Assassin's Creed.
All right.
He's done it again in his favorite category.
Yeah.
Peter Willington Memorial. It's like a ham sandwich or Keane Award for Okayest Game 2023 goes to Assassin's Creed Mirage.
Yes, and I will stop moaning about Assassin. Like, I don't need to ever talk about this fucking game again. It's out of my system now.
But while I'm here...
No, that's it.
Right.
It deserves no more.
Time to see what the poll thought. And it's very interesting to see people actively vote at a thing to determine what they didn't care about the most.
Yes.
So let's go.
It's almost better if it gets no votes.
Holy shit. Something won by a country mile. I think I know what it is. We'll give you a top three.
Yep.
Yeah.
13.3% goes to Fight Forever.
Yep.
20% Assassin's Creed Mirage.
Okay.
With 43.3% of the vote.
Wow.
Starfield.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's a whole lot of cope going on there. The people who are doing it's still good. It's still good.
Yeah.
It's bad, guys. Just stop playing it. Do yourselves a favor. There's loads of games out there. You heard about Alan Wake 2?
Yeah. The thing is, if you go back and you listen to me talk about Mirage, that is that early stages of the cope, and I'm like, no, I think it's above a ham sandwich. And then here I am later arguing for it. But hey, Starfield.
Yeah. All right.